Takes us to item 13, which is action as necessary or appropriate on matters discussed in executive session. And the first item would be our selected employment items. Have a motion. Ms. Bumgarner.
I move that we approve selected employment items as shown in Exhibit A.
Ms. Hammond seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes unanimously. That brings us to item B, which is a, excuse me, don't need to take any action, sorry. Brings us to item number 14, which is our second and final reading approval of the proposed capital budget for 2018 and 19. May I have a motion? Ms. Bumgarner.
I move that we give second and final reading approval of the proposed capital budget for 2018 to 2019 as shown in Exhibit C.
We have a second. Ms. Hammond seconds. Any discussion? Ms. Hutchison.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment to that motion. I move that we amend the authorization approving the capital project budget to include a specification for an HVAC unit replacement where the unit is visible, when the unit is visible from the street, the contractor shall add appropriate privacy screenings to avoid the unit being visible from the street after replacement. If the screening costs cause the bids to come in over the approved budgeted amount after the project is priced, the administration is directed to bring the pricing information for the entire project back to the board for reconsideration. And I've got copies of this amendment. If you pass around, I gave Mr. Richardson a copy of that.
We have a amendment to the original motion on the table. We have a second to that amendment. Mr. White. Ms. Hutchison, I'll come back to you to discuss that amendment.
Certainly. Of course, this is a topic that we've talked about several times, and Mr. Carlin was helped us out by bringing back the estimated cost for, I believe it was retrofitting, going back and adding the screens, which seemed to be a little bit expensive. My theory, it might not be the case, but my theory is that as we add new HVAC units to our school buildings, that during that process, while we already have the HVAC people on the roof, they're already doing this, to request that they give us a price on adding a screen at that same time. I did put the caveat in there that if that added cost puts us over the budgeted amount for that particular project, so I don't have it in front of me, let's say we're adding HVAC to Dutch Fork Elementary School, then if it puts it over what we have budgeted, then the administration, we're asking the administration to please bring the total pricing for the HVAC, including the screen, back to the board for our reconsideration. I will note that this is just for 2018. I think it's just, we can see how it goes this year, and if it works, then we may want to consider it for future years, but I'm just asking for this for 2018.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchison. Any further questions?
I have just one clarification. This would be only for those we're replacing, or do you mean for new ones?
Well, we are replacing, yes.
And we don't know a price until they're doing it.
Right. Mr. Richardson can probably answer that about when we would know the pricing.
We would actually put that part of our bid documents so that we would know the pricing when it came in. And I think going forward after this year, those estimates that we bring to you for future HVAC replacements will include any costs for privacy screening for the units.
Yeah, I know we've discussed how they look and that we would like to improve that.
discussion or questions? Correct. First, we're going to vote on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment as presented, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. Now we go back to the original motion, which is our second and final reading on the capital budget. Any further discussion on that main budget item? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Hutchison, for bringing this. That brings us to item number 15, which is the approval of the resolution for fiscal year 19 capital budget shown in Exhibit D. And Mr. Richardson, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Gann. Obviously, since we have approved our capital budget, now we need authorization to sell and issuance of general obligation bonds in order to fund our capital projects. So we've asked our bond counsel, Ms. Brandy Heiser, attorney with the McNair Law Firm, there she is, to present this to you.
Good evening. I was hiding up there. Y'all had a great program tonight. Y'all had a lot of great things going in the meeting, but it's glad to be with y'all. And as Mr. Richardson said, this is your annual general obligation bond resolution. The number is not to exceed $11 million, which coincides not only with the budget that y'all just approved, but also we work with your financial advisor to keep your millage stable so that the exact amount borrowed could be a little over 10 million, could be a little less than 10 million, but in any case, it won't be more than 11 million. I think last year, the number ended up being $9,880,000. So I'll be glad to answer any questions y'all might have about the resolution.
Questions? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Heiser.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate you being here. If there are no questions, then we need a motion to approve. Ms. Hutchison?
I move that we approve the resolution for fiscal year 19 capital budget as shown in Exhibit D.
Second. Mr. White seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. And that brings us to item number 16, which is our adjournment. We have a motion to adjourn. Ms. Baumgartner.
I move that we adjourn.
Mr. White, second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. We want to thank everyone for being here. Productive meeting.